I'm Justin Davis, and this is Joe Camps RC. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin, and today this video is going to help you decide which micro you buy this year with DJI Digital on there. We're going to review, sort of do a mashup today. We're going to put in some footage of the Rocket from Gep RC. This is the Rocket Lite with the Caddx on board. And I'm also going to show you guys the Transtech Beetle, which is the full-size air module on board. And we're going to take a look at, and primarily this is kind of my review of the new Beta FPV 95X with Caddx on there. They sent this to me several weeks ago now, and I built it up for you guys with the parts that they sent over. The final production version of this will be different because this was something that they sent out before the coronavirus hit and Chinese New Year as well. So we've been kind of in a lull right now with China, but I did build this up and we tested it. It flew very well, which is the good news. Mine is a really solid build and has very little jello in the camera. If you install everything on here correctly, you shouldn't get a lot of jello. The nice thing about this is that on their site, it does come bind and fly with several different options. We have FrSky version, FCC version. We have an FrSky LBT receiver, a DSMX, and a Futaba version on there. And I believe you can get TBS Crossfire and a PMP version on this one as well. Each of these are close to around the $300 price point. So this one's $299. I believe this one is around 300, around 310 or so. And then the Rocket Lite is probably the most expensive of them of all, around the $320 price point. You might be able to get it a little bit cheaper without a receiver on there if you want to add your own receiver on here. By the way, this will work with pretty much any receiver out there as long as it is an S-Bus setup. Let's just dive into some of the footage of each of these quads. We're going to start out first with my footage and my flight tests of the 95X. My build, like I said, again, it came out really nice. Everything is fairly solid on here, and I hit a goalpost with it, smacked head on into a goalpost. Probably the worst thing you can possibly hit with a quad out in any field. Metal posts, quads never mix quite well, but durability tests on all these. We're going to talk about freestyle capability of each one. We're also going to talk about the cinema quality of each one and which one is basically the overall best flying one out of these three. So these are the three that everybody's looking at right now, and these are probably on everybody's hot list, and you're probably deciding which one you should get. Hopefully by the end of this video you'll have a better idea of which one you like or you prefer, and also I'll let you know which one I prefer out of all three of these. Here we go. Okay guys, let's go ahead and get this comparison underway. Now, I'm going to show you several different things here in this video so that you guys get the full spectrum of all three of these quads. Starting out with my 95X build, it came out pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with the reduced amount of jello that I see in my build versus some of the other reviewers. You know, no offense, guys. That was kind of a hard quad to put together. It's really tight up in the canopy, and the hardware that they provided, you have to have it exactly right. And even though I have it pretty much right, I don't have a screw or a standoff in the very back. So that might be where some of my jello is coming through into the video. And the reason that I didn't put it on the back side of the quad was because there was no real screw port in that area, and there was a lot of wires running through there, and I didn't want to risk messing something up or frying something. So I have 3 mounts on mine, minus the back mount. So maybe the production version will have all 4 standoffs on there and solidify this camera. But hey, the freestyle is actually pretty good. I think that the proximity flying, like right here through the trees, a little bit of slalom back and forth, this is all ultra smooth, and this felt great on the sticks, guys. It felt so much fun. It is definitely that kind of like HD whoop experience. If you want a whoop style quad, go for the 95X. That's what this one kind of flies like. Because of the lightweight feel to it, it just has that whoop feel. It doesn't feel like a micro brushless. The Transtech Beetle feels like a kind of a hulky micro brushless. And the tune on that one slowed down a little bit, so you can get some decent cinema stuff. But I didn't feel like I was held back, honestly, on any of these quads. But they all have slightly different flying characteristics. And the test in this video is least amount of jello, can it cinema, and can it freestyle. And so far the 95X seems to handle freestyle easily, and I didn't see any washout. I did see some vibrations at the very bottom of some of my power loops over those gates, or over the soccer posts, the soccer goals. And we'll just head back over that direction and we'll work on a few more. And I also did an unexpected durability test because I smacked right into one and I broke this frame. You'll see a little bit more jello after I broke the frame and part of the prop. So I think if the Rocket Light had hit this, it could have possibly broke something, but those are probably the most durable prop guards out there in any of these. And now power loop back around. Pretty good. Now let's get in here. But doesn't the Caddx Vista look just super awesome? It looks really, really beautiful. And coming back in through here. And this is where you can see more jello. And this would be your cinema type shot. You can't really see a lot of jello until you're high up in the air. And that's what I like to do with a lot of these quads. And I'm going to show you all these up on the screen coming up near the end of the flight test. But the Beta FPV 95X for me, it did pretty good. I wasn't unhappy with this quad in this test. I think building it was a challenge. It was hard to build because there's not a lot of room up in those canopies, and there's my breaking point right there. I broke the front of the frame on that frontal impact. I have also broken their canopies. The canopy that covers this 95X is more brittle than some of the other type of camera mounts out there. Gep RC wins it with that aluminum. The aircraft aluminum is probably the toughest mount out there. The TPU mount on the Transtech Beetle is also good, fairly indestructible, but TPU can get damaged over time. I think your most solid bet's probably that aluminum mount. And I'm going to show you how that looks coming up, but here's a little bit more jello in my proximity flying right here that you will notice. And that's because I'm flying now with a broken frame. But it's still flying. It didn't totally disable the frame, which is cool. But unfortunately now I have to go back and I have to rebuild this entire frame. Just squeaking through that last gap right there. Little punch out. And notice you can see that camera donut now on the front of the camera after I smacked that pole. Pretty good. It did shift and move on me. But super fun. And like I said, it feels like a Whoop. So if you want the Whoop style, go for the 95X production version, bind and fly. Now we're going to switch over to the Transtech Beetle, and baby, the Beetle was one of the highest scoring micro HD quads on my channel in recent history. I had to build this one up. They sent me a box of parts, and this is the result of that. There is the slightest bit of jello in that cinema video that I showed you just then. But down low, proximity, slowing it down, going through tree gaps, little tree exploration with this quad. You can do it in stability mode if you want and get up inside those tree canopies and have some fun. And we'll just slow it way down and look at the detail on the 1080p DVR, the onboard storage DVR of the DJI Air module. Different than the Caddx Vista. Caddx Vista does not have an onboard DVR, so you're only recording in the goggles. So there is quite a difference between this video and the goggle recorded video that you saw previously. But I think, again, the Caddx Vista does, it looks okay. If you want to record true cinema style stuff just for YouTube, then go for the full-blown Air module. And now the freestyle capability for the Transtech Beetle is probably the best out of all three of these. It feels more like a micro brushless, even though it has that additional weight that the 95X and the Rocket Light shaved down because of the Caddx Vista. So you're making a little bit of sacrifice there, video quality versus your weight factor. So that's something to consider when you go to buy all three of these. Honestly, you can buy, it's nice that GEP RC does give us the option to buy the full-blown air module with onboard DVR. It's called the Rocket Plus. So I'm thinking that the Transtech Beetle, it does have a quite a bit nicer video as far as the vibes go for cinema. So I think that in my testing, the 95X has more jello than the Transtech Beetle does, and I had to build both of these myself as well, so it might be a little bit different than what you get from the factory. So we're gonna hope that there's a little less jello in the factory and the production versions of both of these quads. So now let's go ahead and test out one of the best cinema whoops on my channel, probably for all of 2020 so far. We're gonna have a lot of competition to beat the Rocket Light. First thing I want to show you is that high up video, the cinema quality of the Rocket Light. Look at this. Do you see any jello? Where's the jello at? This is a solid mount and it's nearly indestructible. We crashed it into concrete in the parking lot, messing around, and we came back with scratches on that aircraft aluminum mount in the front and no frame breakage, which was great. And it is so fun to fly DJI goggles. You can find the gaps through fences like that. You can see all the scraggle on the ground, and you can see pretty much every branch coming up to you. It's really awesome. When you get down low to the ground, you can see it kind of pixelate up, get a little bit blocky. Tree exploration with the Rocket Light was fantastic. It was so much fun because I had those prop guards in stability mode. I could just really get in there with this quad. There's Robert following me around. Just gonna, that battery just totally died on me. But these guys had never flown Caddx Vista or flown DJI before, so I figured why not give those guys a try. And there goes the power loop with no washout for the Rocket Light. And a little bit of a tree flip back underneath here. Don't see any jitter on the bottom end of that loop. Tiniest bit right there. Did see it. And now for our flyby rolls. Not bad. Another one. This quad is super fast for being sort of a almost considered a whoop, but not really. It's more of a micro brushless class. And Robert's tempting me to go through his legs. Brave man. So is Diego. Back under the Jeep and my van. This thing will get in there. Check out the proximity of the light is ridiculous. But here is where it is absolutely fantastic. Look at this video. Best cinema hands down of all three of these quads. It is just beautiful. And this is Caddx Vista, guys. This is not even the onboard DVR version. This is the Caddx Vista, what was recorded in the goggles. Just awesome. And a very low power loop right there, coming in kind of hot, hit a branch, almost crashed in the puddle, but made it back through. And very, 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 very sketchy one. Puddles seem to be always right where the bottom of my power loops tend to be. Right there where I like to power loop with those two trees. But we had a lot of fun with this one. Now I'm gonna let Robert fly it. And this is from a different pilot perspective. You guys can check this out. This is his first time flying anything DJI. And he's gonna go for his own gap. Nice gap, Robert. Sweet. He's gonna go for a little bit of canopy, some tree gaps here. Gonna get up in there, slow it way down. Watch how slow the Rocket Light goes. Super slow. And for one more gap right here. And you got to give it to Caddx for making such an awesome transmitter. I mean, this is just fantastic. I got really excited when I saw that the Caddx Vista was coming out because it is, what is it, like 40 grams lighter than the full-blown air module? Somewhere around those lines. And the video recorded to the goggles still looks pretty damn good. This looks decent. When you're running 700 milliwatt close in like this is kind of video you can expect. It actually looks great. So this was a pretty big test and challenge, but let's see now the cinema testing results side by side, because I think you guys deserve to see this in comparison. You saw it on the screen. There was some jitter for the 95X there, and the Rocket Light, it just looks like it's flying on a rail, on a line. It's very, very, very smooth. Look at that pan. That's great. And compared to the 95X, the Rocket Light wins in the cinema testing results. No problem there. Now let's compare it to the Transtech Beetle. The Transtech Beetle did better than the 95X, but I still see a little bit of bump there, a little bit of jitter. But it did definitely better than the 95X. Now let's go ahead and do the weigh-in. 109 grams without the battery. That's not bad. Now let's put the Transtech Beetle on there. 146 grams. And let's put the Rocket on there. 127 grams. So the Beta 95X is the lightest one out of the bunch. Now let's go ahead and put the 95X on there with a 650 battery. This is the 4S650. Your total takeoff weight would be 189 grams. Again, the lightest out of the bunch. And now the Transtech Beetle, 225 grams. And finally, my favorite, the Rocket Light, 207 grams. All right, guys, welcome back from the flight test. Now we're going to break this down into several different categories for choosing the right whoop for you. And depending on these factors, that will be the deciding factor for you, which one you decide to buy, because different people want different things. I understand that. So I'm going to talk about all of the different categories that these whoops can fall into, these HD micro brushless. So the first category will be the durability factor, because that's pretty high on everybody's list. If you pay $300 for something, you don't want it to break on the first day, right? So the #1 quad for durability and the QC award has to obviously go to the Rocket Light by GEP RC. This one is the one that you can buy for $300, bring home and fly, take it out. It will be a while before you break something on this, because the prop guards are ultra durable. It has that sort of camera out front squashed frame, H-style frame, which is great. The carbon on the bottom is very high quality. It is around 3 millimeters. And this one also has the largest power system on here as well. So the 12 series motors, these are 1204s, and those were 5,000 kV, if I can read that right. It's pretty small. But this one also had the top mount battery, which I like for cinema. So that is also going to be a deciding factor in the cinema rating on this quad. So QC and durability goes to the Rocket Light. Second place out of these three would be the Transtech Beetle. I didn't break anything on this one. It came home in one piece. And this donut in the front, this is an awesome TPU mount right here. That is what makes this quad special. You can also put prop guards on this one as well, so it might make it even a little bit more durable. But this one concerned me because it only has about a 2.5 millimeter bottom plate on here. The carbon looks to be a decent quality, but it is 2.5 millimeters, so you might want to use the prop guards if you're concerned with breaking this frame if you fly around a lot of concrete. The third durable frame would be the 95X, because it does have that traditional Beta FPV sort of plastic frame that we've seen on the 85X, and people have broken these. They are cheap to buy. This one was one of the hardest ones for me to work on and access the USB port as well. So the USB port is kind of tucked away underneath my receiver, the cable, and in between this carbon frame and the plastic frame. So hardest one to access, 95X. The easiest one to access was probably this one without the prop guards on here. And I believe they do give you a 90-degree turned USB-C cable that comes along with it, so you can get to it if you're using the prop guards. But this is the one for the GEP RC, and this is a 90-degree turn micro USB port right on the very bottom right here. And getting to the CADX Vista is easy. It just plugs right in the top right there. It's no problem. Now the next category is going to be freestyle. Which one is the best freestyler out of all these? And my number one choice for these three might have to be the Beetle without the prop guards. I think this one flew really, really awesome. It did great lines. It was fast, and maybe that extra weight in some of the dives and stuff, it still had plenty of power coming out of a dive with the 2.5-inch props. And I use these HQ props on here that are really smooth and really fast. So the best freestyler award goes to the Beetle. Second place is, I feel like it's kind of a toss-up, because while this one got really straight lines and the flight controller is really locked in, the Gep F4 on here, I believe it was the F4 stable tower on here, in comparison to this one, this one is more of a proximity close-in freestyle quad. You can do tighter stuff with this one, but this one gives you a little more big air capability with the bigger power system on here. And this one, again, like I said, has the biggest power system of all three of these. But this one also flew like a dream. This one flies really, really good as long as it's built and set up right. Thank God the production version on this one, you don't have to build or put all this Cadex stuff up inside there. But again, the easiest one to work on would be the Rocket, because everything is accessible by one top plate, and that's it. You don't have to take off multiple layers like on the Transtech Beetle. And the next category is going to be the cinema category. Which one of these has the best cinema video? Now, since I don't have the production version of the 95X, it's hard to put this one in a rated category with these other two, because the other two, as they sit, they are the ones that you're going to buy straight out of the store, and that's the way they're going to come to you. I felt like the Rocket Light probably wins the award for cinema, because it flies really, really well in stability mode. Straight ahead shots look amazing, and the pan's way up high. And even a little bit of wind, this quad performed really well. And I wish I had flown this one on a better day. It was a little bit overcast when I flew this one. And if you're concerned with quiet, this is going to be good for you as well. The Rocket came in third as far as quiet goes. And the reason for that is because it has 2-inch props on here with a larger power system. So this little guy is quite loud, but you can still fly this one in a small park at 30 to 35 to 40% throttle without bothering anybody. It's still not as loud, half as loud as a 5-inch. So this rating shouldn't be a big deal breaker for you. So number 3, number 2 would be the Transtech Beetle for noise factor, and then the quietest one out of the bunch was the 95X. Not really disturbing anyone nearby, and no one could really hear this thing flying around. It's actually really light and quiet. So now we're down to the last part of this, which is probably the most important factor out of any factor, and combines everything, all the categories for my final rating. And my best overall choice out of all three of these would be the Gep RC Rocket Light, or the Rocket Plus if you want the onboard DVR. And my decision on this is based on a lot of factors. The quality control is very high on Gep RC, like I've said before. I like the top mount battery on this one. These other two are bottom mount batteries. And even though these are 2-inch props, the power to weight ratio has been leveraged because they used a bigger motor on here. And since they're using the stable flight controller, it's the AIO stable, it's a lot smoother on the PIDs. The PIDs are pre-tuned, and it came to me working perfectly. All I had to do was put my XM Plus on here and go have a ball. Also, the ease of working on this one is super high. Really easy to work on and access the Cadex stack. I had to pull this one apart and do some things to it, and I didn't have a problem accessing it. It was a very traditional setup. And like I said before, we've seen this type of frame before from the CX series in Gep RC. So it's tried, true, and tested. Durability also very high with this one. Freestyle factor very high, and the cinema factor. So it kind of won in all the different categories that I reviewed this quad for. So I think one of your safest bets still for a micro brushless cinema whoop / freestyle HD setup would be the Rocket Light out of all three of these. But it's been a a new type of FPV war out there with these companies trying to come up with the best micro class HD Whoop or cinema style quad out there. So we're looking for a lot of different factors here with these reviews, and I'm happy to give you guys the results of all my testing. But thanks again for watching my channel, guys. I'm Justin Davis. If you want to check me out on Patreon, I'd appreciate it for all the work that I put into on the channel, and we'll try to keep giving back to you guys and more content and information on the channel as always. Guys, take care. I'm Justin Davis. I'll see you on the next one.